Okay. Welcome, and we'll start off as usual with a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah.
Are we on Pinchas?
We are on Pinchas. Yes, sir. Right. And there we are. Excuse
Go
me.
into mute.
By Daber. So it's actually in the middle of a chapter, as you notice, by the way. So the chapters were actually devised by Christians, the division of the Bible into chapters. And we did, in fact, as you can see, adopt it as well. Vaidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. So Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, quote, Pinchas ben Elazar, Pinchas, son of Elazar, ben Aharon HaKohen, son of Aaron the priest, Heshiv et Chamati. Heshiv is like to return. Chamati is my anger. But what it means is like he took away my anger, right? He prevented me. Prevent, again, these are the wrong words. Prevent is not the right word, but it's like turn back. How about that? Turn back. I like that the most. Turn back my anger, may all b'nei Israel, from upon the children of Israel, bekan'o et kinati, in his jealousy, right? In his being jealous, my jealousy, betocham, amongst them.
What did he do to turn back God's anger? What did he do?
Okay, so patience, keeping you in suspense. I will tell you.
It says here, zealous.
I know.
It says, and not jealous. It says.
I know.
Okay.
You'll wait for me to finish, and then you'll decide. Okay. So because kin'ah is lo tekanes, don't be jealous. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll explain why I'm using the term jealousy.
That's fine. I just throw it out because sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's not. You can accept it or reject it.
I know. Believe me, I'm not objecting. I'm simply saying, hold your horses. And
right.
By all means,
got it. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And I didn't consume. I didn't end up. Right. I didn't wipe out. Ipnei Israel, the children of Israel, bekinati, in my jealousy. So first of all, which one do you want me to deal with? The two things. What did Pinchas do? So let's.
I have passion.
That's fine too. It's not gonna. You'll decide. Yeah. You decide.
Yeah.
You decide. Okay.
Just throwing it.
The word kin'ah. If you look up the word kin'ah, it means to be jealous. Lo tekaneh, do not be jealous of. And jealousy, I think, is the English word that we want. But we'll see. I'll explain it. Let me start off with Pinchas. So in the very immediate previous Parsha that preceded what we're about to read here, because as you notice, we're in the middle of a chapter. After God had successfully prevented Bilam from cursing the Jewish people, according to tradition, and I think I did mention this last time, but Bilam had advice for Balak. And he said to Balak, the God of the Israelites hates lewdness, hates lewd behavior. And if you get your Moabite women, the Midianites, but it mentions the Moabite women, but then it sort of confuses the two. I shouldn't say confuse, it mixes the two. To seduce the men, the Israelite men, and when they have them pretty, heated up, they say, well, if you want to fulfill yourselves, you need to bow down to my, to Baal Peor. And they'll do it because they're so hot to trot, they're going to do it. And in fact, that's what happened. So here we have this contrast of what God is doing for the Israelites, even unbeknownst to them. And then subsequently, the Israelites shooting themselves in the foot, essentially. Well, what happened was they were able to control this. Moses, you can imagine what this had to be like for Moses and Aaron, trying to bring this mob under control. In the meantime, Zimri, a prince of the tribe of Shimon, he's going to be mentioned a little later. He's not mentioned in the previous Parsha. He's mentioned in a little bit in this Parsha, goes publicly with this Cosbi Batsur, who's a princess, a Moabite, I think she's actually Midianite princess, and publicly is in grand delectu. They publicly are on display. And Pinchas Pinchas realizes that this is going to be a problem. And so what he does is he takes a sword and he pierces both of them. He takes the sword and pierces them, both of them, in and kills them. And that's what stops the plague. The plague ultimately then stops. And this is what he's being rewarded for now. But we're going to have some Rashi that's going to explain what's going on. So where is the jealousy? Why do I use the term jealousy? Because you know that when it comes to idol worship, there's a sense that it is being, it's like a person who goes and takes on, this person has a relationship, they're married, and they take on a lover. And the person who's being betrayed feels awful about it. And there is a level of jealousy, okay, regarding this person, towards this person. If I may make this comparison, if you'll allow me to make this comparison, I think you see this especially with dogs, that when a dog has a special relationship with you, and then you go and pet another dog, your dog is going to act up. And so I think that the word jealous actually is an appropriate word, because that is what it's describing. Now, I realize in some ways, of course, it's putting God down, God forbid, right? But it's saying these are legitimate kinds of horrible things that one does when one goes, to describe it, not legitimate thing, but to describe it legitimately, when you go and worship something else. That God wants our exclusive loyalty. And it's the kind of jealousy involved when someone is being disloyal. And it's not zealousness. I don't think it's zealousness, as I understand zeal. Zeal is like, I was thinking of another word, like an activist. An activist acts zealously, all right? But this isn't about that. This is about the fact that the sense of betrayal that is associated with jealousy. And so what Pinchas basically did was he stopped this act of betrayal on the part of the Israelites regarding God. Now, please feel free to comment.
I don't know.
Okay. So you know that the prophets very often can describe the relationship of the Jewish people and Hashem as a marriage, and describing that when the Jewish people go astray and worship other gods, it is like cheating in a marriage. It's betrayal. And if you've ever been betrayed, if you ever have experienced betrayal, you know what that feels like. So.
Yeah, the word betrayal is what I was thinking of rather than jealousy.
Well, but this is how God feels. God feels the feelings one has when one is being betrayed. And the best word we can use is kinah in this word. But the word kinah does mean to be jealous. In other words,
If the Israelite men that went with the women,
Midianite, yeah.
some of them were married. That's very bad.
Well, they weren't practicing monogamy at the time. Okay, so regardless, that was not the main issue. Okay, I mean, yes, the fornication was a problem. Okay, that was big problem. That was what Balaam advised Balak. Told him that's what's going to get them. So.
And by the way, the word is that is talked about in the second Rashi.
Yes. Okay, cool.
The word kina.
Yes, yes. And he
Did
took
Balaam
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
The worst part was the bowing down to the
Correct. Correct.
God,
Yes.
you know.
That's
Yes,
right.
that was
That's
it.
right.
With anything else that happened was just getting them to that point.
Right.
Did Balaam tell Balak to do that? Did Balaam tell him to do that?
That's according to tradition. That is how.
Yeah,
See, he
we
didn't
don't
curse the
see that.
Jewish people, but he gave Balak advice as to how to destroy them
Huh.
in a different way. You know, use their own passions against themselves. So let's take a look here. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen. And this is in Sanhedrin. This is page 82a, and in Sota 42. So I remember in Sanhedrin that there's this whole midrash about this incident. The Gemara has a whole midrash about this. So anyway, there it says, "Lefi shahayu hashvatim mivazim oto." So why is Pinchas being singled out in this particular way? And the answer is that the tribes were mocking him. They were humiliating him. Here we go. This is how they were humiliating them. They were saying, "Itim ben Puti zeh." Did you see this son of Puti? Right? Shepitem. Do you have a translation, Lauren, for Puti?
I do.
Go ahead.
You're right so far.
Okay. All right. Shepitem avi imo, whose grandfather, whose maternal grandfather,
Which it says is Jethro.
Yes, exactly. Pitem. Remember, he was a Midianite priest. And notice, by the way, exclamation point, Midianite priest, right? Agelim. So what he did was he fattened calves, la'avodat elilim. His maternal grandfather fattened calves to worship idols, for idol worship. Vaharag, and he and Pinchas, his grandfather. Remember, yichus is a very important issue here, how you're descended, by the way. So you know that within certain very, very Orthodox families to this day, they keep a descendant line of descendancy going way, way back. And your who you're descended from is very, very important. So here he is. He's descended from a Midianite priest this man's maternal grandfather was fattening calves for idol worship. Vaharag nasi, and here he comes and he kills a prince, shevet, of a tribe of Israel. So that's how they were saying, look who this guy thinks he is, right? And for this reason, Ba hakatuv, scripture comes, the yachzor achar acharin, and intentionally gives his descendancy, his yichus, after Aaron, right? His genealogy. So it's interesting because, again, notice how the way this works is you take something that seems so obvious, right, as to be unnecessary, right? If it had said Pinchas, we've already mentioned him in this chapter. Why does it mention his genealogy here? That's the question, right? There's no need for it. So if it's coming in here, that there must be, therefore, a special reason for the Torah to mention it. And now we know. Now we know why it says Ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen.
Who was a woman that did that too?
Cosby, her name is. You'll see. It's. If we get to it today, if we don't, we should get to it. It'll be pretty soon. Okay. So, but her name was Cosby Batsur, and she was a Midianite princess. Okay.
Oh.
Bekin o et kinati benikmo et nikmati. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So he's explaining it. So he says that this, to display my jealousy, he says, in avenging my vengeance, right? In wreaking my vengeance. And he goes on to say, Bekatzpo et ha-ketzef, when he, ketzef, I think, is, anger, in his displaying the anger which I was to express. Is that close enough? Again, Lauren, just check on me and make sure I'm being accurate. Okay, thank you. Kol lashon kina. Whenever you come across the language of kina, this word kina, its connotation, hu hamitchare. This is the one who is worked up, linkom, to avenge nikmat davar, the vengeance of something. And the French here is emportement, something like that. That's at least from what I can make here. And in Yiddish, they put this in der Eifer. Okay, so Eifer I'm going to get is vengeance, die Ereiferung. Okay, I'm thinking that this Yiddish word means vengeance. So when you are jealous, you certainly seek vengeance. Okay, it works up your anger. One of the things when you're jealous is you're angry. Okay,
is Pinchas a son of one of the of Aaron's child? One of Aaron's child?
Pinchas is Aaron's grandchild. He is okay. Pinchas has one of his sons is named Elazar, and Elazar has a son by the name of Pinchas.
Oh.
Okay. Lachain. Sorry.
But it says his grandfather was Jethro, not his great-grandfather.
Did I say great-grandfather?
No, but if he was Aaron's grandchild.
Yes.
I'm just confused.
Oh, okay. No.
No, Jethro has nothing to do with Eliezer.
Well,
exactly,
in the first Rashi that we read, where it says, have you seen the son of Puti, whose mother's father fattened calves? And in parentheses, it says his mother's father was Jethro.
So are we saying then that Aaron also? No, see, I understand that is a good point. No, that's really
Moses'
super.
Kid, right?
Okay, all right. Here's the story. Aaron was married, I believe, to Elisheva. Okay, my understanding, if I'm not ill-informed, is that Elisheva was actually a sister of Kalev, I think. I may be getting confused here. I may really be getting confused. And it could be that Joshua's wife was a sister of Kalev. But there's some connection there. So, if I'm wrong, which I could be, we know that Moses married Zipporah, and Zipporah was the daughter of Jethro. Is it possible that Aaron also married a sister of Zipporah? I don't know. I honestly thought Aaron was married to Elisheva.
That's right. You're right.
There is a Torah Temimah here. Let's take a look at this. I'm doing this cold, okay? Okay, my son is calling me. 1 second, I'm going to mute and just tell him. Okay, thank you. All right. Let's take a look. Well. Here's what he's saying. Here we go. Interesting. Okay. Ki avi imo, his mother's father, hu Yitro, right? He's explaining this here. The Elazar avi Pinchas, because Elazar, the father of Pinchas. So now we're talking about Elazar, right? his father. Lakach mi benot Yitro. There we go. So his father also took one of the daughters of Pharaoh, Dichtiv, and it says, and looks like Parsha Va'era, ve'elazar ben Aharon lakoch lo mibnot Putiel lo leisha. There we go. So there's a specific biblical statement. So we're not talking about Aaron here. We're talking about Elazar, and Elazar's wife would have been, I'm assuming, if by benot we mean literally daughters, it could be a granddaughter. No, it would have to be a daughter, the way they're saying this, okay? So Moses married Tzipporah, Elazar married a sister of Tzipporah.
Oh.
Okay, so, Umefaresh Pagada, and I don't know that we need to go on. I think we've solved the problem, right? We said, yes, his mother's father. So Elazar's wife's father would have been Yitro. So we've problem solved.
Right.
Okay. Onward here. Let's see if we have more Rashi. Okay, they're just saying that he's giving you the French equivalent of vengeance. One more verse. We'll take another verse. Lachain, for this reason, emor, say, hineni, behold, noten lo, I give him et briti shalom. I give him my covenant of peace. Now, in the Torah, I don't know if you can see here, it's not really very clear, but the vav of shalom is actually cut into two pieces. It's cut in half. There's a space between the upper line and the downward vertical line. Mm-hmm. So, and it makes that note, by the way. There's a Masoretic note. No, not there. Interesting. Pretty sure about that. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it's right over here. It says Vav Ketia, that the Vav is cut. Here we go. Et briti shalom. So what do we mean by, quote, covenant of peace? So again, the same section in Sanhedrin. Detahe lo levrit shalom, that this is going to be for him as a covenant of peace. Adam, this is like a situation of a mortal, a person, a machazik tova, who holds on to a favor, meaning, I believe that you've done a favor to this person and they will always hold you in a special place. They hold on to that favor. The chanut lemi, or looks like it anyway, Lemi she'oseh imo tova. Okay. Maybe it's chenut. I'm not familiar with that version of chen, but it means that he holds goodness and grace to one who has done him a favor. Afkan piresh lo hakadosh baruch hu. Here too, the Holy One, blessed be He, specifies, gives him shlomotav, his shlom, his brit shalom, his wholeness, if you want to call it that. So let me explain. There is a tradition that this refers to immortality.
I think Pinchas was loving God so much that he couldn't stand what was going on. That's why he killed those two people.
Right.
And God was, loved Pinchas for that.
Yes, he's saying Pinchas did something, prevented me from destroying the Jewish people, took up my situation, my cause, and acted on it in an appropriate way. Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't matter that he violated a commandment because, yes, there's, sanctioned killings, like related to capital punishment or war, but I didn't think without those elements in place that you're supposed to kill people.
Right. Okay.
No. That's it's if you just kind of read up a little bit, that was what God wanted. He wanted all those people impaled.
Well, I'm just saying
I mean,
because in-
that's what God wanted. So I guess they got out of that idea of
so the
killing. It's
commandment,
not murder, it's honor killing or something like that.
I'll try and explain it in a little bit differently. Okay. Thank you, Golda. No, I appreciate
Okay.
what you said. Let me try and take it
It's
from
just
a
on the
different
same
place.
page. That's how I ended up reading it.
No problem. No
For
problem.
me.
What's happening is this, Lauren. Here's the situation. It's situational. And what's happening is people are dying all around, okay? And Pinchas knows what's causing it, right? It's all this idol worship and fornication that's going on. This is wholesale. It's going crazy, right? There's a bacchanalia going on here. And when Zimri and Cosby do what they're doing right there in front of Moses and Aaron and everyone, and Pinchas realizes that people are dying because of this, right? That's why he does what he does. So there are circumstances where this is justified, where the killing of these two people brings to an end this plague that's going on, right? Because it wakes everybody up, they stop it, it stops the mob action, and sometimes you have to do this. Okay, these
so
are very.
did he know that this would happen? Did he receive a prophecy?
Well,
Or
he didn't
did he
know
just
that what would happen.
that the plague would stop and that God would love it and that it was a helpful thing to do?
Okay, let me say this. He understood that what they were doing, that continuing to do what they were doing was bringing people to an end. People were getting killed. This was in the middle of the plague. 24,000 people have died because of this. It mentions the number.
Man.
And so he realizes that if he takes, look, Zimri is a leader, right? And leaders set the tone. So that if he takes care of this, they're going to sort of wake up and stop it. So that's why he does it. It's a very specific circumstance. I mean, your question is totally justified, but I do believe that's an acceptable answer.
I wish they had started this Parsha at the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah,
it
would have helped.
make a lot more sense for people who don't read all the way through the end of the Parsha.
Right.
Also, I have, instead of covenant of peace, I have act of friendship.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely.
It's lovely, but it does have a different connotation.
It does, but that translation takes clearly into account Rashi's interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's good about that translation, is how it incorporates Rashi's interpretation. But I was about to tell you that there is a tradition that Pinchas and Elijah are one and the same person. And we know that Elijah doesn't die. Yes, Pinchas hu Eliyahu. So that's because if you think about it, Elijah is also a zealous person.
And a prophet, though.
Yes, he is. He's a prophet.
So maybe Pinchas was a prophet and did know
Right.
exactly what he was doing.
Well, I think he knew that what he was doing was that he had to do it. He realized, yes. I mean, I don't have a problem considering Pinchas a prophet in that
I have
sense.
a problem. I have a
Yeah.
problem. Why didn't the priests stop it? You got priests there. They could have stopped that.
Okay. Okay, so I can tell you something.
Not always.
I've been in situations where in a public situation, in a public setting, where somebody has done something like yelled at somebody else or acted inappropriately. And basically, nobody wants to get out there in front of everybody else and start correcting that person. Okay? Basically, I know myself, you're basically stunned at that moment because it's so wrong, okay, and so unacceptable. The fact that they have the chutzpah to behave that way kind of stuns everybody. And so you don't, afterwards you think to yourself, why didn't I do this? Okay, why didn't I say something? But quite honestly, Harlan, you have to be understanding in these situations that this is shocking. Okay, what this person did. I mean, who goes and does sex publicly? It's like somebody going and performing an act of sex, in front of the president. in the front of a king. That's what they were doing. It's just really awful. So it's complicated. But Pinchas had the ability to do it. He had the inner strength to know what to do and to actually do it. So let's stop here. Let's see. Okay, we're right. We'll put in the little marker here. And we'll know where to pick up tomorrow, God willing. Okay.
Do we
I'm
do
gonna stop.
Avinu Malkeinu?
I'm sorry.
Do we do Avinu Malkeinu today?
We do Avinu Malkeinu today. Correct. Yes. Right. And if you have a minion,
We're still recording, by the way.
Okay, I'll stop. Thank you. And thank those who have tuned in and are with us still.